We measure and set targets for filling rates on our trucks. We try to maximize direct deliveries from suppliers to stores rather than shipping via central warehouses. Today we are at 40% direct deliveries and increasing. We are trying to increase the amount of unpalleted goods in the trucks, which can increase fill rate with up to 15%. We are putting environmental and social demands on our transport providers. There are still many potentials to increase the efficiency of road transports. Common legislation regarding truck standards, fuel standards, road taxes, etc. would increase the speed of change. We have recently started a cooperation with Volvo Trucks to see how we can improve emissions from road transports. Initial findings show a potential to reduce emissions from road transports in Europe with 40%. Actions include drivers training, alternative fuels, vehicle development, hybrids, tire pressure monitoring, new tires, aerodynamic devices, and a wider acceptance of the European modular system. Regarding sea freight, a challenge is the big unbalance between moving goods to and from Europe, Asia, and the US. From Asia to Europe, 100% fill rate is only 20 to 25% going back to Asia. From Europe to the US, 100% fill rate is only 35 to 40% going back to Europe. Similar problems with lack of return freights are often the case with trucks moving through Europe. The biggest potential is probably to find a solution to this problem. We must stop transporting air. Another potential is to find ways to increase rail freights. Lack of common standards within Europe and lack of competition are two hurdles. Lack of flexibility is another. In conclusion, I feel we have some solid actions in place to tackle CO2 emissions in the categories closest to our own operations, our own units, business travel and goods transportation. Unfortunately, these make up a relatively small part of the emissions within our influence. The big potential is still ahead of us. We need now take the step and involve ourselves much more in the production process of our suppliers. So far, this work has been concentrated mainly on aspects of working conditions and chemicals. We now need to put more focus on the aspects of energy use and CO2 emissions. However, this work still is ahead of us. Concluding my presentation for you today about our sustainability work at IKEA and reflecting on the work we do and have done over the last few years, I have some mixed feelings. On the one hand, I'm proud of what we have achieved. We have a wealth of dedicated co-workers who are contributing greatly in their everyday work to our environmental agenda. But I also feel a frustration that we still have so much work left to do to be able to say that we are a truly sustainable company. However, I have some hope that we will be able to speed up our efforts even further in the coming years. We are taking one important new step that we were not ready for until now. The environmental agenda has until now been developed as a separate strategy with a top-down approach. I believe this was necessary to get us to this point. Now, however, we have reached a level of maturity in the organization where the sustainability work can be truly integrated in our everyday business agenda and strategies. Sustainability is no longer an activity on its own, but it is totally integrated in everything we do. I'm convinced that this will make a big difference in the years to come. However, most things still remains to be done. What a wonderful future. Thank you very much for listening. I understand the tradition now is that I should take some questions from the floor. So if we have some more time, I don't know what the moderators say, or that would be okay. So if there are any questions, please go ahead.
Hello, my name is Gerd Hofieland, Discover Global Consulting. Thank you very much for your very open-minded way of sharing with you your problems and what you have achieved. I can only say this is exactly the way I would like to see reports in this audience, because that creates trust. Nobody expects a company to be perfect, but I would say we hear a little bit too much of defensive arguments, and that's why I would absolutely appreciate or express my appreciation.
Thank you.
A question that I have is, you say that you have now achieved a level of maturity in your organization, and that I would like to hear a little bit more about it. How do you organize the workforce or the experts that integrate sustainability aspects in your organization? How is the sustainability organization organized, if I may say so?
Okay. This is, we are trying our feet a little bit here. As I said, I think one important aspect of this is that when we started to work 10 years ago, I felt like we in the management really had to push these issues into the organization. The questions I talked about in the beginning of my speech, there was a lot of question marks around whether this was good or bad. Today, I feel an enormous pressures from the organization on us in management. It has totally changed to increase our ambition level. And this is, I think, a huge difference that I would think and hope that many other companies experience too, and I think could be a real change driver for increasing sustainability efforts in companies at large. The way we are proposing to work with this now is that instead of having sustainability staff or specialists work with an environmental agenda and putting the strategies together the way we've done it in the past, we have really started with what we call an input to strategies. So instead of providing strategies, we give input to the organization, the different parts of the organization. And then we ask the organization to set their own objectives and strategies for reaching those objectives. It's tempting to set goals for the organization. But I figured with the commitment I feel in the organization today, I wanted to turn this around and ask the organization to set their own goals and set their own strategies. We, of course, as management, always have the privilege of saying no to these suggestions at the end of the day if we didn't think they are not ambitious enough. But I can already feel that this has created an enormous energy in the organization. People don't like to be told. Of course, mature managers prefer to have the opportunity to think out what their ambition level should be themselves. So now the ownership has passed from us to our managers, those who are responsible for product development, who are responsible for the supply chain, who are responsible for our retail organization and our stores, to set the ambition level. And I'm certain that the ambition level will be very high. That's the feeling I have today in the organization. Then what will come back in this process, we will see in the spring, because the process is right now, we're in the middle of putting this together. But sustainability is now at the heart of our product development strategy and our supply strategy. It's not something we have attached onto it. And when it comes to product development, of course, a big part of it is about what I talked is raw material. How can we reduce raw material in our product from design to the production process, etc. So it's integrated in a different way. So that's how we propose to try this. It's a little bit of an experiment, and we are in that phase right now.